2005 seemed so exciting when I was small. The Transformers movie had promised me way back in 1986 that there would be hoverboards in 2005, and well, they just didn't materialise, did they? So I guess I'll have to wait for 2015 and Back to the Future 2 to tell me the truth, and for me to have a hoverboard then. 2005 was also a time in which, much like 25 years or so before it, a lot of video games came out. If you like looking at personalised lists of games released in 2005, you're in the right place. If you're looking for Chihuahua grooming tips, not so much, and I do apologise for YouTube's algorithm, it's let you down badly. Maybe you should probably try a different video, but I might stick some in at the end. I won't. But before we look at the video games, shall we look at what was happening in 2005 so we can feel all nostalgic about it? The Live 8 concerts happened this year, 20 years after the Live Aid concerts. They were organised to bring awareness and combat poverty. And well, I guess we're all too aware of poverty now, aren't we? Do you need anything from the food bank? I'm just going into town to sell my kidney so I can afford the heating for the month. You know, as a treat for my birthday. Thanks, Bono. I guess that worked. Oh, and the Crazy Frog was a thing and really shouldn't have been. Screw you if you downloaded that. Ugh. Pubs in the UK were finally allowed to open longer than the previous very draconian hours that they were before. And did this put an end to people power drinking? No, not really. But scenes like this... and this are both sad and hilarious in equal measure, so I'm glad this happened when camera phones became a thing. What a bunch of twats. Doctor Who was revived by the BBC, and it became very, very popular indeed. Indeed, it was heavily milked from its merchandising teat and still lumbers on to this day. It's fine, though it had Corden on it once, and I don't really care for him at all, so maybe it can shove its TARDIS up its regenerative arse. The 7/7 bombings happened, and I can't really make any form of hilarious comment about that, so let's just acknowledge that and move on. Well, let's move on to Revenge of the Sith, I guess, because that happened, and it was the best of all of the prequel movies by far, and we never see Star Wars in the cinema again. Or would we? In games news, pearl-clutching types went doolally when somebody uncovered unused code in the previous year's Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. In the famous Hot Coffee mod, CJ performed several sex acts with several lady characters. Legal cases emerged left, right and centre about this code that wasn't in any way accessible to the majority of players, and its rating in the US was pushed from a mature to an adults only. Sex between two fully clothed, barely humanoid collections of polygons that 99% of people who play the game would never see would definitely corrupt people into perverts, but apparently blowing up grannies with a bazooka is totally okay. Does conservative America just sort of look in the mirror and go, are we okay? Sony celebrated the PS2 becoming the fastest selling console to hit 100 million units. But meanwhile, while they and Nintendo announced new consoles for 2006, Microsoft were first out of the gate with the first 7th generation console, the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 was certifiably the biggest success that Microsoft had yet, and is probably their biggest selling console to date, not just from people replacing the red ring of death ones, which seem to affect nearly all of them. Now, when I'm saying it was the most successful thing Microsoft did, I'm talking about consoles. I think Windows did all right too. Jeez. Oh, and Titus went bankrupt, and I couldn't care less because of Superman and RoboCop. Those games were terrible, and that fox deserved to be put to sleep. Sorry, Titus, you bunch of useless bastards. And now onto the list. You've no doubt seen a lot of well-loved 2005 games appear as I've been droning on, and you are probably expecting to see some of them in that list. Nope. I've selected my personal top 10, and they'll be appearing in a minute. The rules of qualification are that this was the year that they first appeared on the first format that they appeared on. It's as simple as that. I may well have played them much later, but that is by the by. Does that make sense? Probably not, but good. Let's go, Spaghetti-O. Number 10. I think we're all in agreement that Grand Theft Auto is pretty good fun. You keep quiet there, Contrarian Sue, we don't care about your opinion. It is very good, and the series' rebirth, Grand Theft Auto 3, was still very fresh in the memory for most of us, even though Vice City and San Andreas had eclipsed it by quite a margin. That sprawling map, that freedom of movement gameplay, that sandbox, surely that couldn't be put on a handheld though, not for many years to come. Well, you deny the power of the nascent PSP, sir, because here it is, Grand Theft Auto 3 on your bus ride home. Not only that, but it's a whole new story, a prequel set in 1998 with Claude sidelined in favour of fellow mobster Tony Cipriani. A brand new tale, a brand new set of missions, all in a familiar setting. Not only that, but Liberty City Stories represents the first multiplayer experience that console fans would partake in, with up to 6 players able to link consoles and cause a right old ruckus. From playing as the mob to punishing the mob, Frank Castle takes on the underworld in the angry manner of a man who's been waiting at a Wetherspoons bar to be served for over 15 minutes. Probably a bit more angry in that, given that his entire family had been gunned down. Now, on Wiki it says this game was released in 2004, but that's the mobile game, which is very different. So you guys can stick your donation, please, up your bum, Wikipedia. Punisher on the Xbox, PC and PS2 is an action-adventure developed by Volition Studios and is one of the truly rarest of things. A very good Marvel Comics-based video game that doesn't feature Spider-Man. Reviews for this were mixed, but I really enjoyed it, and this is my list. So you games journalists can, well, you could just do one, thanks. It is a fairly linear adventure, yes, but the storyline is darkly captivating and it is savagely violent, which is exactly what you need from a Punisher game. For me, if a game based on a beloved character gets that character exactly right, it's already done half the work. Punisher is a right bastard, and in this, he is just that. Mission accomplished, I'd say. LucasArts and Pandemic Studios combined for this explosion-heavy orgy of destruction to great effect as a trio of multinational paid-to-kill bastards head into a particularly antsy North Korea and pretty much level it to the ground. It's non-linear sandbox time again, as your selected character plays all the involved factions off of each other, using your ill-gotten gains for completed contracts to purchase more and more elaborately effective tech, to reduce more and more of Pyongyang into less and less. Its closest modern equivalent, I suppose, would probably be the Just Cause series, although the characters in this are a lot less agile. There's no flipping about with a cable. It's definitely worth a look though, especially if you're a fan of the genre. And it's a game series that I'm really truly surprised has never seen a reboot. Destructive, brilliant fun. Please give it a go. I don't know what was wrong with me in 2005, but I seem to have been in a particularly violent mood, what with everything on this list so far involving one-man armies blowing everything up for fun. This one is more akin to a tongue-in-cheek Max Payne venture, with dual-welding off-the-grid criminal Ramiro Cruz sent into the unlawful underbelly of a Mexican cartel to give that underbelly a good old rub with his bullets. This game is ridiculous amounts of fun, blending the aforementioned slow-mo gunplay of Max Payne with score chasing of a Tony Hawk's game. Ramiro can spin and turn mid-air gracefully, slaughtering goons and amassing huge point multipliers by the dozen. It's almost like a game tribute to the Robert Rodriguez El Mariachi movies. It's a game that didn't score massively highly with the critics and didn't do that well commercially. A sequel was due for release but never materialised due to its poor sales, but we did at least get a PSP spin-off game with a great alternative title, Chili Con Carnage. It's a shame that this didn't get the love it deserved, because I think it's a concept that could work really well in the present day. Mixing Max Payne with Tony Hawk's is as fun as it sounds. Ah yes, the dust-gathering plastic in many a gamer's room found its initial starting point right here. Wish fulfillment made flesh. Yes, we all wanted to be the hero of our own action movie, to score the winning goal in a World Cup, to win in the Monaco Grand Prix, but we also wanted to perform at a huge arena in front of thousands and then do some cocaine off the small of the back of a groupie. While our wait for that last bit of it would go on, Guitar Hero truly did make you feel like a rock god in your own front room, parading in front of your worried-looking cat as you threw out power chords from your Fisher-Price plastic metal axe. Licensed songs from acts as diverse as Boston, Franz Ferdinand, Black Sabbath, Sum 41 and Queens of the Stone Age are present in this 30-strong song lineup, and no matter your level of ability, you will find it impossible not to have fun. The starting point of a brief but extremely fun period in gaming then, and maybe you should have another quick go before you hang up your plastic Gibson, or do as many have and give it to the eye-rolling volunteer at the charity shop who will just have to add them to a big pile of plastic instruments. Honestly, decent Marvel Comics games are like buses, aren't they? Here's another good one, this time courtesy of Radical Entertainment and Vivendi. And what did I say earlier? A game that gets the character right from its source material has already done half the work. The Incredible Hulk is a very strong and very angry chap, and it is definitely represented in this video game. It's destructible sandbox time again, as cars are thrown, tanks are tossed, and buildings are crunched by the big green maniac as he takes out all his frustrations, sexual and otherwise, against the Abomination and Thunderbolt Ross's armed forces. Despite being a critical darling, Ultimate Destruction didn't sell that well, and it really is a shame because it's up there in the discussion of very best superhero games of all time, and I can absolutely assure you it is the best game based on the Incredible Hulk. There is nothing that comes close. Admittedly, there hasn't been that many Hulk games, but this is definitely the best one. Tim Schafer is a very creative fella. He was a leading light in most of the LucasArts point-and-click classics for one, but his Studio Double Fine's efforts were a varied bunch in terms of quality, but at least they weren't afraid to be original. Arguably the biggest creative success was Psychonauts, even though it definitely wasn't a commercial hit, at least initially. You play as Raz, a boy with psychic abilities who uses his powers to explore the minds of other weird and wonderful characters. As we all know, inner thoughts are pretty strange, well mine are anyway, and this is especially true of this title's eclectic mix of personalities. It's a funny, unique and very playable platformer then, that was definitely a very creative effort, and it has got a strong following over the years. It's flawed, definitely. There's definite parts of the game that don't quite work, but it's definitely a game that deserves your attention. It's a classic. Team Ico's sparse adventure tale is a good riposte to anyone that doesn't think video games can be considered as an art form. Wanda, the game's protagonist, is on a mission to revive his love Mono, but he does this by locating and slaughtering 16 Godzilla-scale beasts that stride, swim and fly across the landscape. Each battle is structured differently, with Wanda having to scale the beast and locate its weak point, while battling his own deteriorating stamina gauge. All he has to combat the Colossi are a sword, a bow and an extremely faithful horse called Argo. The story is emotional, yet nearly wordless, with an immense toll taken upon the hero with each Colossi defeated. Is he doing the right thing? Probably not. It is a beautiful game from both a visual and a gameplay point of view, and it's definitely one of the major highlights of 2005. And we're back to shooting stuff. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the game of your childhood dreams. It is the video game of what you did with your toys in the early 80s. Smashing Kenner toys together, not the ones where you get Barbie and He-Man and get them to make babies. Its forebear, released a year before, was fun, but this took things to the next level. At certain points in the battle, you'd be rewarded for your efforts and you get to swap out of your stormtrooper armour or your rebel fatigues and instead get to become a legendary character. Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, the Emperor, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, they were among the tough and lethal characters on offer as you sought to secure all the bases across the map. Space battles were also massively improved, with battles to take down key vessels allowing a little bit of variation. Yes, you can blow it up by taking out structures on the outside of the ship, but you could also fly inside it, get out and break it from the inside. And the most surprising part of it was that the storyline single-player mode wasn't an afterthought. They even got Tim Morrison to do the narration. If only EA had paid attention to that when they did the rebooted series. And so we get to the best game released this year. The Resident Evil series is undoubtedly one of Capcom's greatest franchises, and number 4 is the peak of that series. A reinvention of the franchise at a point when it probably did need it. Resident Evil 4 changes the enemy types, the perspective, the setting and the gameplay up in grand style and serves up an absolute classic. It's a fantastic game on every level, from graphics to sound design to control to length to its playability, and this, as crucial as any type of thing that I've mentioned so far, its atmosphere is absolutely spot on. It is a terrifying game to play, a nervy game to play. You will feel anxious for most of your playthrough, especially the first one that you do. Leon Kennedy takes the lead here and, well, he can suplex monsters, so I'm all about him. It's a great challenge, but never unfair, and it is a game that I can happily replay without getting bored time and time and time again. It's a top 10 game of all time for me, I suspect, and an easy pick as the best game of 2005. And that's about it. I'll let you go and find the Chihuahua grooming videos now, and I'll see you in 2006. Until then, thanks and bye.